Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of rare and error coins, where the smallest denomination in your pocket change could actually turn out to be worth a life-changing fortune. And we are talking about the unbelievable 1997 D5 USA coin that, because of its bizarre striking errors, fascinating minting mistakes, historical importance, and sheer rarity, is said by collectors and numismatic experts to carry an astronomical face value of $150 million, making it one of the most expensive and sought-after nickels in history. And while at first glance this coin might appear like just any other ordinary Jefferson nickel minted in Denver in 1997, when you begin to study its details and understand the anomalies that occurred during its production, you start to see why it has become a legend among coin enthusiasts and why it has taken the spotlight as a top viral sensation in the numismatic community. So let's break down everything that makes this coin so desirable, from the tiniest details to the major minting flaws that turn a common 5-cent piece into a jaw-dropping multi-million-dollar treasure. And the first thing that grabs attention is the striking errors that occurred in this particular mintage, because in 1997 at the Denver Mint there were several quality control issues that occasionally allowed flawed dies to strike coins, and in rare cases these flaws went undetected, which is exactly what makes a coin like this so special, since this nickel has been reported to exhibit multiple off-center strikes where parts of Jefferson's portrait extend beyond the normal rim, causing the design to appear distorted and unusual, which already creates collector demand because off-center strikes are rare, and when they are dramatic they can multiply value. But beyond that, this particular coin is believed to have been struck with a misaligned die, meaning the obverse and reverse do not properly line up, which makes Monticello on the reverse tilt awkwardly and gives the coin an odd appearance that is instantly noticeable to trained eyes. And then there are doubling issues as well, because experts have pointed out that the motto "In God We Trust" and the word "liberty" on the obverse show signs of strong doubling, making it essentially a double die obverse, which is one of the most popular and valuable error types known in coin collecting. And when you add this to the misalignment and off-center strikes, you start to see how rare a combination like this really is, since coins with even one of these errors can bring thousands, but a coin that has multiple dramatic errors combined is virtually unheard of, which explains why this 1997 D nickel has skyrocketed into legendary status and pushed its theoretical value to the mind-boggling $150 million mark. But it doesn't stop there, because in addition to the striking errors, the coin also exhibits anomalies in its planchette, since some examples of the 1997 D nickel were struck on improperly prepared planches, leading to incomplete or peeling surfaces and metallurgical irregularities. And if the $150 million example is indeed one of those, it makes it even rarer, because collectors crave coins that show such oddities, which prove the unusual nature of its creation. And then there is the historical context of the Jefferson Nickel series itself, because by 1997, the design had already been in use for over half a century and was beginning to gain renewed attention as collectors started paying closer attention to modern errors and varieties, which had often been overlooked in earlier decades. And this surge of interest has driven values higher and higher as collectors realize just how elusive and important such pieces can be, especially when tied to an already popular design like the Jefferson Nickel. Now think about the eye appeal factor too, because one of the reasons coins can bring astronomical sums is when their errors are dramatic yet visually striking. And in this case, the 1997 D5 has been described as having such bold doubling and off-center features that it almost looks like a piece of art rather than a minting mistake. And when you combine that with sharp luster or even a mint state grade assigned by third-party grading companies, you get the kind of coin that doesn't just attract hardcore numismatists but also investors, museums, and wealthy buyers who see it as a one-of-a-kind artifact of American history worth battling over at auction. And speaking of auctions, it is important to mention that in the coin collecting world, hype and demand drive prices higher than anyone expects. And when a coin like this hits the spotlight through media coverage or viral stories on the internet, it captures public imagination and becomes a sensation, with countless people checking their pocket change, wondering if they might have such a treasure tucked away. And that buzz alone creates bidding wars whenever one of these pieces surfaces making the already rare coin even more untouchable and valuable, and this is why some numismatists argue that the 1997 D5-cent era coin could indeed be valued at $150 million or more in today's frenzied collector market, because value is not just determined by rarity but also by desire, and right now the desire for unique American minting errors is at an all-time high, and if you think about the long-term impact of this, it is even more incredible, because the story of the 1997 D nickel reminds people to look carefully at even the most ordinary-looking coins, since treasures can hide in plain sight, and it proves that history-making finds are not limited to ancient gold or silver, but can include modern copper, nickel coins that most people overlook every day, and this lesson alone adds to the mystique and enduring fascination with this coin as one of the most expensive nickels ever known. So whether it is the double die features, the off-center striking, the misaligned dies, the rare planchet flaws, or the sheer convergence of multiple errors into a single coin, what we are left with is a masterpiece of numismatic rarity that captures the imagination of all who see it and continues to dominate conversations among experts and casual fans alike, making it not just a coin but a cultural icon that proves how extraordinary minting mistakes can transform pocket change into priceless artifacts. And as more people hear about this story, the legend of the 1997 D5-cent coin worth $150 million will only grow, inspiring new generations of collectors to search through their change and hope for that one life-changing discovery. And if you enjoyed diving into the fascinating world of rare coins and want to keep learning about the most incredible and valuable finds in history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories, because you never know, the next fortune might just be hiding in your pocket change. Next, 2012 P5-cent USA coin. Today we are going to explore one of the most incredible stories in the entire history of American coinage, and one that has fascinated collectors, investors, and treasure hunters all around the world, because we are diving deep into the unbelievable tale of the 2012 P5-cent USA coin, a Jefferson Nickel that is said to be worth an astonishing $152 million because of its extraordinary errors, its wild minting mistakes, its near-mythical rarity, and the way those unique anomalies all come together to make it not just a coin but a once-in-a-lifetime artifact that stands as one of the most valuable pieces of modern American currency in history. And when you first think of a 2012 nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint, you might assume it is just an ordinary 5-cent coin that millions of people carry in their pockets every single day. But once you look closely at this legendary example, you start to realize that it is no ordinary piece of metal at all. It is instead a coin that defied every expectation and slipped through the cracks of quality control to emerge with such dramatic errors that it has captured the imagination of numismatists worldwide and driven its theoretical value into the hundreds of millions. And that is exactly why we are talking about it here today, because the 2012 P nickel in question has been described as a perfect storm of mistakes, with multiple types of mint errors occurring on a single coin, and when those come together, the value goes from ordinary pocket change to a level that could buy a mansion or even change someone's life forever. Now let us start with one of the most fascinating aspects of this coin, which is the doubling visible on its obverse, because reports suggest that this coin exhibits a strong double die obverse, meaning that key elements of the design, such as the motto "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," and even parts of Jefferson's portrait appear doubled and shifted, which is one of the most desirable error types among collectors, since doubled dies are the result of mistakes in the die hubbing process, where the design gets impressed onto the die more than once in slightly different positions, and when that die is then used to strike coins, every single piece struck will show that doubling. But of course only a few ever make it out of the mint and survive in circulation, and when the doubling is dramatic, as it is believed to be in this 2012 P nickel, the value skyrockets because it is both eye-catching and historically significant. And then there is the matter of the striking alignment, because not only does this coin show doubling, it also shows evidence of having been struck by misaligned dies, which means that the obverse and reverse do not line up correctly. So when you flip the coin over, Monticello on the reverse is not centered in the way it normally should be, but instead appears slightly rotated or shifted, giving the coin an odd and unmistakable appearance that instantly separates it from Common examples and errors like this create even more demand, especially when combined with doubling, since it is rare enough for one coin to have a doubled die, but when that same coin also has a misalignment error, the value multiplies many times over, and the story only gets better because beyond doubling and misalignment, this legendary coin is said to have been struck on a defective planchette, meaning that the blank piece of metal used to strike the coin was not properly prepared and may have contained cracks, laminations, or areas where the metal was improperly mixed. And planchette errors are highly desirable in their own right, since they prove that something went wrong in the earliest stages of coin production before the strike even happened. And when you add that layer of rarity to a coin that already has major die errors, you end up with a numismatic marvel that could only have been created by chance and a rare stroke of luck. And it is this kind of perfect storm of multiple anomalies that has collectors raving about the 2012 P nickel, and why some believe it justifies a value as high as $152 million, because the market for rare coins is driven not only by how many exist but also by how dramatic and unique they are, and a coin with this many unusual features all rolled into one becomes essentially irreplaceable and irreplicable. Now imagine the visual appeal of such a coin, because in addition to the technical details, collectors also love coins that have strong eye appeal, meaning that the errors are bold, visible, and almost artistic in their own way. And this 2012 P nickel has been described as having such bold doubling and such noticeable misalignment that it almost looks like a piece of art created by accident rather than a simple flaw. And that uniqueness is what drives people to bid astronomical amounts at auctions, because they know they may never see another piece like it again. And then of course you have to consider the grading factor, because if this coin is preserved in mint state condition or even close to it, then its value is amplified further, since collectors place a premium on error coins that are not only rare but also well preserved and sharp. And if this 2012 P 5 cent has been encapsulated and graded by a top-tier grading service, it would command even more attention and dollars at auction, because the grade becomes part of its history and authenticity now, while the technical aspects of doubling, misalignment, and planchette defects are crucial. What also makes this coin valuable is its story, because in 2012 the United States Mint was operating with modern technology and tighter controls compared to earlier decades, which means major mint errors are far less common than they were in the mid-20th century, and so when a dramatic error does slip through in the modern era, it is considered even more valuable because it is so much less expected. And this is one of the key reasons why the 2012 P nickel has captivated collectors, because it represents a rare breach in the modern minting process and serves as proof that even in today's high-tech world mistakes still happen, and when they do, they can create treasures worth millions. And that element of rarity tied to the modern context is one of the biggest factors behind its jaw-dropping valuation. And when you combine that with the hype factor of viral stories shared online, you begin to understand how values climb into the hundreds of millions, because the power of buzz cannot be underestimated. As collectors, investors, media outlets, and even casual coin hunters start talking about a particular coin, its legend grows and demand increases exponentially. And if one of these pieces is ever confirmed sold at auction, the frenzy it would cause would make headlines worldwide as people rush to search their own change for similar finds. And that is exactly why this 2012 P nickel is not just a rare coin but a cultural phenomenon that bridges the worlds of collecting, investing, and everyday curiosity. And the more people hear about it, the more its legend grows, driving up value with every new mention. And while many rare coins are valuable because of age or precious metal content, the 2012 P nickel proves that even a common 5-cent piece made from copper nickel can rival gold in worth when the right combination of errors and circumstances come together. And this lesson is one that resonates deeply with collectors, because it shows that the next great treasure could be hiding in plain sight in the change you get at a grocery store or the coins sitting in a jar on your dresser. And it is this possibility that fuels the passion of coin hunting and keeps the excitement alive year after year, generation after generation, because the thrill of the hunt is just as powerful as the value of the find itself. And so when you look at the 2012 P 5-cent piece with all its bizarre doubling, its misaligned dies, its defective planchette, and its near mythical rarity, what you really see is not just a coin but a symbol of possibility, a tangible reminder that miracles can slip through the cracks of even the most controlled systems and land in the hands of ordinary people, and when that happens, history is made and fortunes are created, and that is exactly why this coin has earned its place among the most valuable coins ever discussed, with a value estimated at $152 million, making it not only a numismatic treasure but also one of the most jaw-dropping stories in American minting history. And as collectors continue to chase this legend, its value and its myth will only grow larger, inspiring new generations of coin enthusiasts to look closer, search harder, and believe in the possibility of discovery. And if you enjoyed this incredible story of a modern nickel turned into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating deep dives into the most valuable coins in history, because the next life-changing discovery might just be waiting for you in your pocket change. Last 1987 P5 USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most extraordinary and fascinating stories in the history of American coinage, and it is all about a Jefferson nickel that at first glance looks like just another ordinary 5-cent coin from the 1980s, but in reality has become one of the most talked about and most valuable minting era coins in existence, the incredible 1987 P5 coin that, because of its extraordinary mistakes and dramatic flaws, has been estimated to hold an astonishing value of $110 million, making it one of the most expensive and remarkable nickels in history. And today, we are going to explore in great detail every aspect of what makes this coin so legendary, from the striking errors and doubled die features to the off-center misalignments, planchette anomalies, die cracks, and the numismatic fascination that all come together to make this coin worth far more than its humble 5-cent face value. Because when you look closely at this coin and you understand the circumstances of its creation, you start to see how such rare minting events can produce a masterpiece of era coinage that captures the imagination of collectors, investors, historians, and even everyday people who suddenly realize that something as small as a nickel could change their life forever. And the story of the 1987 P5 begins at the Philadelphia Mint, where millions of Jefferson nickels were struck. But as with any large-scale production, errors sometimes slipped through, and while most errors are minor and go unnoticed, the legendary example we are talking about today is anything but minor, because it combines multiple mistakes, all visible and dramatic, which makes it not only rare but also nearly irreplaceable in the world of numismatics. And let us start with the doubling, because reports about this coin suggest that it shows a strong doubled die obverse, meaning that the inscriptions on the obverse side, such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," appear doubled and offset, creating a ghostly echo of the original design that is one of the most popular and most valuable types of errors in coin collecting. And doubled dies have always commanded attention because they are created during the die hubbing process, when the design is imprinted on the working die more than once in slightly different positions, and when that flawed die is used to strike coins, every coin it touches carries that doubling. And when the doubling is bold and obvious, as it is believed to be on the 1987 P nickel, it creates an instant rarity that collectors dream of finding and pay astronomical amounts to acquire. But doubling is only the beginning, because this coin also exhibits striking misalignment with the dies, meaning that when it was struck, the obverse and reverse were not perfectly aligned, which leads to a coin where Monticello on the reverse and Jefferson on the obverse do not line up correctly, creating a strange off-kilter look that anyone can notice. And errors like this are exciting because they are visual proof that something unusual happened at the mint, and when they appear on a coin that already has a doubled die, the rarity factor multiplies, since it is extremely uncommon for multiple dramatic errors to appear together on one coin. And then there is the off-center strike, because this 1987 P nickel is reported to have been struck partially off-center, meaning that the design is shifted so that part of it runs off the edge of the coin, leaving blank space where design should have been. And off-center strikes are one of the most popular errors among collectors, since the more dramatic the off-center, the more desirable the coin becomes. And when you have a nickel that is both doubled, misaligned, and off-center, you are looking at something that defies all odds and becomes a numismatic treasure unlike anything else. And to make things even more extraordinary, this coin is also said to have been struck on an improper planchette, meaning that the blank piece of metal it was struck on was either the wrong size or improperly prepared, which leads to surface anomalies, cracks, laminations, or even coins that are slightly overweight or underweight compared to normal specifications, and planchette errors are already rare, but combined with doubling misalignment and off-centered striking, they create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that collectors could chase forever without finding another. And when you put all of this together, you begin to see why the 1987 P5 cent has achieved such mythical status in the coin world, and why its estimated value has reached $110 million, because it is not just one error, but a symphony of mistakes all happening on the same coin, creating an artifact that stands as a physical record of minting history gone wrong in the most spectacular way possible. And beyond the technical details, there is also the matter of eye appeal, because collectors are not just looking for errors, they are looking for coins that show those errors clearly and dramatically. And this 1987 P nickel is said to be so visually striking that even someone who knows nothing about coins could tell it looks unusual, and that broad appeal is one of the reasons why error coins like this attract not only numismatists but also investors, museums, and wealthy buyers who see them as unique artifacts of American culture worth owning at any cost. And when you think about the grade or condition of this coin, the value becomes even more understandable, because if the coin survived in mint state or near mint state condition, meaning it has little to no wear and still retains its original luster, the rarity becomes even more incredible, since most error coins get damaged in circulation and very few survive in pristine condition. And so the combination of dramatic errors, high appeal, and excellent preservation is exactly what pushes this coin into the realm of nine-figure values. And to put this into perspective, it is important to remember that the 1987 P nickel comes from a period when collectors were paying closer attention to modern coins than ever before, because by the late 1980s the Jefferson Nickel had already been in production for decades, and error collecting was becoming more popular as people realized that mistakes from the modern era were much rarer than those from earlier periods when quality control was looser. And so the discovery of a coin like this from 1987 was especially significant, because it proved that even in the modern minting era, with all its advanced equipment and oversight, extraordinary mistakes could still slip through, and when they did, they created treasures worth millions. And this historical context adds to the mystique of the 1987 P5 cent, because it stands as proof that even in times of supposed perfection, nothing is truly perfect and miracles can still happen. And then you also have to think about the hype factor, because in the coin world, value is not just about rarity, it is also about demand, and demand is often driven by stories, media coverage, and the viral spread of incredible finds. And when collectors, investors, and casual fans all start talking about a coin like this, its legend grows, and with it so does its price. And the story of the 1987 P nickel worth $110 million has been shared across forums, videos, articles, and conversations, creating a cultural buzz that makes it even more desirable, because people do not just want the coin, they want to own a piece of the story and the legend that goes with it. And this is why some believe the coin could sell for even more if it ever appeared at a major auction, because the demand would create a bidding war unlike anything ever seen before, pushing the price higher and higher as wealthy buyers compete for the chance to own one of the greatest error coins in history. And when you take all of this together, the doubling, the misalignment, the off-center strike, the planchette anomaly, the eye appeal, the condition, the modern rarity, the historical context, and the viral buzz, you begin to see why the 1987 P5 cent is not just a coin, it is a masterpiece of numismatic history that represents the power of mistakes to create treasures, and the power of rarity to transform ordinary pocket change into something worth more than entire fortunes. And that is what makes this story so fascinating, because it reminds us all that miracles can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the next life-changing discovery might be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar or a drawer in someone's home right now, waiting to be recognized for what it really is. And as long as collectors continue to search and dream, the legend of the 1987 P nickel worth $110 million will continue to grow, inspiring new generations to look closer, pay attention, and never underestimate the value of the coins they hold in their hands. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most valuable nickels in history, and you want to hear more incredible stories about rare coins worth millions, make sure to like this video and subscribe.